For H.P. Lovecraft, the most important thing was never what you see, it's what you feel. The uncertainty, the distance, the slow realization that something is wrong, long before you know what it is. But in his stories, it never stops there. At some point, his protagonists understand something far more terrifying than any monster, that there are forces at work so vast, so ancient, so incomprehensible, that human beings are barely more than ants in comparison, and that the universe itself is nothing like they believed it to be. And that's why so many games fail when they try to be Lovecraftian. They show you monsters, they show you madness, they show you horror. But Sunless Sea does something different. It lets you drift into it, slowly, quietly, until fear stops being an effect and becomes a condition. Now, Sunless Sea is not a recent game. It came out in 2015, and it took me more than 7 years to get into it. I bought it in 2017, and even though the atmosphere and world immediately spoke to me, I bounced off hard. The actual game design was different from what I was used to, with the way conversations, hubs, harbors, etc. worked. On top of it, Sunless Sea is set in the Victorian Gothic universe of fallen London, a universe which I was not familiar with at all. It felt like zapping around to Netflix and tuning into the 4th episode of the 3rd season of Game of Thrones. You have no idea what is going on, who's who, and why does this lady hate that guy. At least I thought so, because even if you're not familiar with fallen London, this game will grab you in its tentacles if you let it. I imagine that if you are into fallen London, this is an extra bonus and makes the game even more enjoyable. Yet, to this day, I have not delved into that universe much. I read an outline of about 5 stanzas and let the game introduce the world to me by itself after that. Let me give you a very short summary of what Fallen London is about though. If you're an expert reading this, please forgive the extreme abbreviation. Fallen London began as a narrative browser game in 2009, built almost entirely around text and player choice. From there, the universe expanded into the standalone games Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies, several tabletop RPG versions, and multiple official novels and short story collections. It's a shared story world that exists across games, books, and tabletop. One setting, many doors into it. Fallen London is the story of Victorian London being dragged underground into a vast eternal cavern called the Neath. The city was traded to ancient godlike powers in exchange for knowledge and impossible promises. Down here, death is unreliable, the sun is artificial, devils run embassies, and the sea itself seems to remember things it shouldn't. It's not a story about saving the world, it's about what happens to people when the rules of reality slowly break, and how far they're willing to go once they realize that morality is no longer enforced by the light of day. Heavy stuff, but without knowing all the details, the world will draw you in. You are in the Neath, and you will sail the undersea, as it's called. So, in essence, Sunless Sea is an RPG with roguelite elements. If your captain dies, the journey does not simply end, it continues. Some things can be passed on to your successor, others are lost. The map shifts, knowledge remains, the sea remembers. When you start, you create a captain with a past and an ambition. Not a class in a traditional sense, but a direction. Do you want to write a great work about your voyages, accumulate wealth, or pursue darker, more personal goals? You begin in London at the Woolstack docks with a small ship, small crew, and very little room for error. From the very first voyage, the game makes one thing clear. This is not about power. It's about management under pressure. Every journey is defined by scarcity. Fuel to keep the engine running, supplies to feed your crew, and above all, sanity. Running out of fuel means drifting helplessly in the dark. Running out of food means watching your crew weaken. And losing your sanity means slowly unraveling. Whispers, nightmares, and terrible decisions that feel reasonable at the time. Combat exists, but early on, it is something to be feared, not sought out. Your ship is fragile, repairs are expensive, avoiding danger is often the smartest choice. Even if it means sailing blind, turning off your lights, and stressing your crew just to stay unseen. Exploration is slow and deliberate. The map begins shrouded in fog. You send out a bat to scout the darkness, knowing that even the small comfort costs you precious supplies. Each new island is a gamble. Salvation, profit, or something worse. Ports become lifelines. You gather information, write port reports, take on strange requests from stranger people. All the time, you meet officers who join your crew, not just as stat boosts, but as stories. Their personal quests unfold gradually, often forcing you to choose between practicality and humanity. As your confidence grows, so does the scale of the world. You travel farther, you risk more, you encounter places of strange beauty, and places that make your skin crawl. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the game shifts. You stop asking, can I survive this trip? And start asking, what am I willing to risk next? What lies beneath the waves? What if the sea could be explored not just across its surface, but below it? Sunless Sea never rushes these questions. It lets them sit with you, and that is where true tension lies. Now, I avoided going too deep into the mechanics, the lore, and the story on purpose. Sunless Sea is a game that works best when you let it unfold slowly, when you don't try to master it, but endure it. Yes, it is unforgiving. Your first captain will probably die, and possibly the second one too. But over time, something changes. Early on, every journey feels like a risk calculation. Will I have enough fuel, enough food, enough sanity? Later, the question shifts. You still fear failure, but you also start chasing answers, secrets, places you shouldn't visit. Returning to London on the last fumes of fuel, with a shaken crew and the mind barely holding together, doesn't feel like success. It feels like survival, like you escaped something that was never meant to be conquered. Sunless Sea doesn't try to scare you with monsters. It doesn't overwhelm you with spectacle. It does something far more unsettling. It makes fear a constant companion, a background noise, a condition. This year marks its 10th anniversary, and still, many people never heard of it, the game, or never dared to try it because of its difficulty, its opacity, its strange world. If you are willing to accept that uncertainty, to get lost, to fail, and to keep sailing anyway, this might be one of the most quietly haunting games you'll ever play. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.